Hello, this is Xavier13, and this is a Let's Play video of 7 Days to Die. Now, I know I haven't released any Let's Play videos since Minecraft years ago, but that is probably because it takes so long to edit these things. Playing the game is the easy part, but going back and editing these videos, it's time-consuming. Because mostly I have to watch it and then, find where I make the cuts and splice them together. Yeah, it just takes time. In any case, I've been wanting to do 7 Days to Die for years, and I just think it's an amazing game. I've been playing other games too, but 7 Days to Die really deserves a video because of how challenging the game is, and there's so much to see. And this is Alpha 17 experimental version 208. It's not the stable release of Alpha 17 yet, so I've basically running the beta of the alpha, and there were two previous builds to this one, which I was playing, so I already am familiar with the, Alpha 17, but they've made some significant changes. Since, each build I had to create a new character again, I thought this time I'd play and share it. So I'm going to record this video and upload it. And to start with, I've already created a world for this build. You want to do it for, every time a new version comes out, because they might make changes to, the random map generation. Now, you could also just play the Navezgane map, which is the prefab map that comes with the game. Personally, I don't, because for two reasons. I like a bigger world, and two, because I like to explore, and I've already played the Navezgane map, and I already know where everything is. So I like surprises. I like to play on random generated worlds. And if you're going to create one, you can just plop a seed in here and go. I personally like to click on Advanced Generation and click in here, add in a world seed. This is what I'm using for this game. And it'll take about 5 to 10 minutes to build the world once you click the generate world. So go drink some coffee, come back, and it'll be done. But I've already done that part, so I'll just skip to this. And the other things I want to go over quickly are the settings that I changed from the default. Now, the basic setting that I changed for the difficulty setting is Warrior. That's one step above the default Nomad. Now there are the 6 different levels. Nomad is kind of the middle of the road one for people who think they might be comfortable with this game. Honestly, if you're new to the game, you might want even something easier than that, because this is a difficult game to get used to. Even if you, like me, go and play other games and come back to it, you might find it really difficult when you come back to it because you've already forgotten some of the things that you've lost by playing other games. So, but I play on Warrior. And the other thing is Drop on Death. By default, it's everything. That includes your tool belt and the backpack you carry your loot in. But I find that too punishing because it sets you back to day 1 status. You're going back and having to go and grab a bunch of basic materials to create your tools, and you can spend like several in-game hours doing that when it's just tedious. Don't bother. Just have it set to backpack only. That way, it's just dropping the loot that you picked up along the way, and if you die, you just have to go, retrieve your backpack. You still have your tools on you, and if you're smart about it, you shouldn't have very far to go back to pick up your backpack anyway. Now, the final thing that I changed is the mark airdrops. This didn't used to be a feature. I think they introduced this toggle in Alpha 16 or maybe Alpha 15. I don't remember. But before that, if you wanted to go retrieve a cargo drop, you'd have to wait, for that. Around noon on the 3rd day, and wait for that cargo plane to pass by and see where the thing went, and then quickly bring up your map and try to guess where it might have dropped and put a map marker there. You know what? I played this so much, I don't really care. I just let the thing tell me where the airdrop is, and I'll go retrieve it. It's just not worth having to do all that when I'm trying to fight zombies and loot houses or whatever else I'm doing, or never mind. So let's go ahead and start the game. And this process also takes a little bit of time for the generating your character and everything. So give it a moment. It shouldn't take as long as building the world, but it takes a minute or so. And while it's doing that, I'll also explain that one thing that I do is right off the bat whenever I create a new game is immediately start gathering resources around me. You're going to need a lot of plant fibers, at least 6 stone, a bunch of wood, and feathers, because you're going to start off with a tutorial quest line of 8 stages, and those are the resources you'll need to gather for those 8 stages. And it doesn't punish you, or not punish you. It's not going to create a setback if you get those right from the start. But you don't want to craft anything until it tells you to. Because if you jump ahead and you craft, say, your stone axe before it tells you to create the stone axe, and then it gets to that stage, you're going to have to scrap the stone axe and create it again. So don't do that. And the other thing, yeah, so we're almost there. But, and here we are. So we are now in the world, and usually it always starts you off at a crossroads somewhere, sometimes just on a road, but always on a road and always in a forest now. In the old days, it could pop you anywhere in the world, and you could be in a desert, you could be, in the ice. I don't hardly ever have that happen anymore, so I don't know if they just changed it to just strictly forest. But with as punishing as it is with temperature now, you really don't want to start off where you have the heat issues like you would in the desert, like right over there. Because I'll show you real quick. If I go over here and stand in the desert and I'm completely naked, it's only going to be a matter of time before it starts telling me I'm overheating. And that's bad news. So, yeah, it's not. But anyway, you get the idea. So, the first thing I'm going to do is, which I probably should, oh, this is a crossroads. Okay. So, it usually almost always drops you in a crossroad. And what I like to do is place a map marker where my origin point is, where I first spawn in the world, just for my own sake. So I know where I started. I just like to know that. You don't have to do that. I've never seen any other players do that in their videos. But it's just so, as a reference, like how far I've traveled, where I don't really need to worry about going back to, that kind of thing. And the other thing we're going to start doing here is punching grass so we can get those plant fibers. Initially, it's going to tell you, hey, grab these plant fibers for a bedroll, which is your first quest. But you also need it for creating your clothing. So I'm just going to keep punching until I get enough fabric for that. And I also can see that I found a bird's nest. A bird's nest you get eggs and feathers from. This case just feathers, but you're going to need that for your arrows and eggs for your food later in the game. But definitely for the feathers for this tutorial quest. So I went ahead and grabbed that now. And I think I should have plenty of plant fibers now. The other thing I'll need is wood. I usually go for these little stumpy dead tree things because they give out 2 wood and they're easy to punch down. If you go straight for a tree, you're not going to get very much wood out of it. It's going to take a lot of punching and a lot of stamina. So just do that. You only need to do that once just so you can get your stone axe. Once you have your stone axe, then go after the trees. Next, we also need stones. Which I saw a bunch over here. Yeah. So I'm going to grab some stones. You need at least 6 for the tutorial, but as many as you can find will help, of course. And hey, since I found another bird's nest, I'll grab this one too. And normally I'd also get rid of those bird nests with my stone axe, but I don't have a stone axe yet, so I'll explain that in a moment. Okay, now I'm going to start crafting my bedroll, which takes 30 seconds to do, 20 seconds. And while it's doing that, I keep looking for more stones and the bird nest. Yeah, more feathers, better. The more arrows you can make to start with, the better, because you'll need a lot of arrows. So, okay, now I can place my bedroll. Now it doesn't really matter where you place your bedroll to start with, because this is not, I don't expect you to be camping out here. This is ridiculous. Oh wait. So you just want to place your bedroll anywhere. and there. We're back to the next stage of the quest, which is going to be making a stone axe. I've already gathered the resources I need for that because I have the 4 stone and wood and fiber, so I'm crafting the stone axe. And then clear some space here. The other thing I like to do is clear up my tool belt, make sure that my tool belt, I always have things in a specific place in my tool belt. Same with these first 4 slots. I put my feathers here, plant fibers there, wood, stone, and iron scrap. Simply because I always have that in my inventory, always have feathers, plant fibers, wood, and so on. So they always go there. Everything else just falls wherever they may. But the tool belt is critical. Knowing where your stuff is on your tool belt in a stressful situation is important. It's key to survival. So I always put my stone axe in the third slot. That way, my melee weapon always goes in my first slot. The bow or crossbow goes in the second slot. Stone axe in the third slot. And then as I get more advanced tools, well, the rest of the tool belt may change. I also like to put my bandage in the last slot. Why? Because my melee weapon is in the first slot, and if I get hit and I start bleeding, I can just do one mouse scroll up, and it moves right to the bandage, and I can then apply the bandage without freaking out. So, and okay, so we're at the next stage of the quest. We need to start crafting material or clothing. So that's what I'm doing now. And if I haven't mentioned before, definitely don't jump ahead and try crafting things before it tells you to, otherwise you're going to have to do it again. So that's why I didn't do this to start with. And it's still working on that. So I'm going to look around. While it's doing that, I also see that there's some cotton plants here. What I want to do is get at least 4 so I can make my first normal bandage. The one that you start the game with is a first aid bandage, and those are rare. You want to save that for when you really need it, if you can, because it increases your maximum health. This is really important in version Alpha 17, because in the previous Alpha 16, the only you could actually eat food and increase your maximum health. That doesn't happen anymore. In Alpha 17, just getting hit by a zombie lowers your maximum health a little bit, and over time you'll start noticing, wow, I'm at 25 maximum health. This is awful, and it's just one hit and you're dead. So yeah, you want to kind of avoid that. And it took a while before I was playing Alpha 17 before I realized that food isn't helping anymore, and I needed. But that's what first aid kits now do. First aid kits and first aid bandages will increase your maximum health. So save that for when you really need it. And so now I should have enough. Yeah, I have enough cotton. I can go up here and make maximum 4 cloth fragments, and then from those 4 cloth fragments I can make 2 bandages. So then I'll just put this here and save that for later. Now, and to complete the quest, I'm going to put on the clothes. The other thing they changed from Alpha 16 is that you can no longer make clothes, or clothing armor. Maybe it was an earlier version. You used to be able to make your cloth armor from just cloth, but now you definitely need duct tape. So yeah. Actually, I'm sorry. I've been playing for this game for so long, I forgot what version's which. But anyway, okay. Not that that's important or anything. But now we're going to create our 2 bandages, and I'm going to put them right here on the tool belt, like I said. Anyway, now we make the wooden club. Oh, I don't have enough wood. That's right. So now to wood. Now that I have a stone axe, you can start chopping on any tree. Personally, I prefer the pine trees. The reason being is that, unlike the oak trees, like those over there, full-grown oak trees are huge. They have giant trunks, and when I eventually create a tree farm to harvest wood near my home, I will want to have tall trees with narrow trunks that I can see around. So if a zombie horde is coming at me, they're not going to be obscured by the giant tree trunks from oak trees. And yeah, I find the pine trees are the best for that. And a fully grown tree farm tree has 1,200 acres and gives out a lot of resources. Whereas actually it's the same for the oak trees too. Never mind. Start kind of talking and doing stuff at the same time. Yeah, so a full-grown pine tree will look just like this one. And as you can see around it. So if you have a whole field of these, you can see zombies coming from afar. It's important. And I should have enough wood now to make my wooden club. So I'm making the wooden club. Next will be the bow. I have to wait for that to pop up first. Don't make the bow. Don't jump ahead and make the bow first. Wait for it. Okay. Wood bow is done. Now I just need to make the arrows. And I should be able to make... Oh, I don't have any stone. Okay, so the other thing I was going to go over are collecting stones. You could just collect the loose stones in the ground, but that'll take forever. The other thing you might want to do is run up to these boulders and smack on these for a while. But the downside of these, when you first start the game in Alpha 17, you have very limited inventory space. You only have 2 rows. And as you can see, I've already filled this up quite a bit. Besides stone, this will also give you iron ore, which is great, but also coal, potassium nitrate, and lead. And those last 3 you don't need until very late in the game. Well, much later in the game. So there's no point in hauling that around with you. You don't need it. So just don't go for that. If you could find one of the larger rock outcroppings that are part of the terrain, I don't see any around right now, but oh, there's one. Okay, so you want to go to these. Try to find one of these giant ones that look like they're just sprouting right out of the ground, and just start hitting these. These pretty much only give you stone. Occasionally you'll get an iron ore, but nothing else. This is ideal, because that way, you're not filling up your inventory with a bunch of useless garbage. So, of course you're dealing with the stamina thing again. The other thing is, once you complete this initial tutorial quest line, you're going to get 5 perk points. And one of the first perk points you're going to get is, the Sexual Tyrannosaurus, which is under Strength. Sexual Tyrannosaurus. You want to invest in this. This reduces how much stamina is used when you swing melee weapons. And your tools, like axes, are considered melee weapons, thankfully. So that will help cut down on how much stamina you use when you're doing this. Usually 1 or 2 perk points is enough so that you can just use your stone axe without tiring yourself out. So I'm just gonna okay, just get a little bit more. I'm just gonna get this one section down to 0 and call it a day with this, because that should be enough stone for now. And so I should have 24 feathers, so that should give me a maximum of 24 arrows. I'm going to do 1 less just so I have that spot saved for more feathers later. There. Okay, so that should do it for that quest stage. Yes, we're done. Now the last thing, 2 items for the stage should be building your base, which is not a real base. I don't know, don't build your base on that initial place where you start. It's just not a good idea. I started. Yeah, so this is another reason I put the origin point in, so I don't get turned around and lost. But I started here. So what I'm going to do, what I like to do, you don't have to do it this way. So people usually just plop these blocks down anywhere. It doesn't matter. But you just need to make 3 wooden blocks. And here, put these 3 wooden blocks right here. And I like to make a pillar of them. So just jump up and click 3. And you just need to upgrade the frames by right-clicking. If you have a game controller, sorry, I don't know what the right-click is on a game controller. But on a mouse, it's right-click. And just, boom, done. Okay, so that stage is done. The last part is to build a campfire. There we go, campfire. Since I now have enough stone to do that, I'll just build a campfire, and I'm going to place it right here, right next to this pillar. Why? Because I don't want to walk around with it, and I need to finish this tutorial quest off right away. Okay, we're done. The other reason I want to do this is before you start moving, the initial place you start in, there are no zombies. So you get a free space to kind of work out your tutorial starting time and get that out of the way. So this is where you want to stop, pause, think, and gather your senses before you move on. So I'm going to go ahead and plop a point, like I said, into this one for Sexual Tyrannosaurus, so that it reduces my stamina usage. I'm also going to increase my inventory space by getting the Pack Mule perk. This is great. Mother Load, so I can get more from the resources that I mine, either from hacking at trees or mining stone or what have you. And then you could put in the Miner 49er, but I just I'll save that for another time. Because I only have 2 perk points left. I want to put it in strength so I do more damage to blocks and to zombies. And this is where I kind of go to the last one. I could put it in headshot. I do like to do that because that adds more damage here. But I think it'd be better to do Skull Crusher because I find myself in Alpha 17 doing more melee. just running up and bashing heads, because using the bow, you can only use it from afar. So here we go. We've used up all our perk points. I'll get another one once I hit the next level. And right now, I am that far away. So that'll be about maybe 8 or 9 zombies. It really depends on what kind of zombies they are. But I just have to kill 8 or 9 zombies or do some crafting, and I'll get there in no time. And then I'll get another perk point. So now we need to start figuring out where to go next. The next quest is to find a settlement, which is really a trader. That's where the trader lives. And thankfully, the game tells you where the closest one is. And this one, unfortunately, is 3.7 kilometers. That is the closest one. I've had it, where I popped in the game and they're like half a kilometer away, which is great. But this is going to be a trip. This is going to be more than we can do in a day. So it's already almost noon, and we have to travel way out there. That's going to take at least 2 days. But we're going to head that direction. So we're going to keep heading this way. And as we travel, I'm going to just pick up things as we go. The other thing I should probably do is create a second bedroll. I'm going to leave the original one where it is. So if I die, I'll appear back at that crossroad. But when I make my first camp, I want to place the bedroll at the new camp, and that way I'll go back to that new camp when I die. But for now, I just want to make sure that's handy, so I'm not waiting to the last minute to do it. Okay, so there's a nest. I'm going to loot the nest. And one thing I'm going to explain too is I like to destroy, open containers after I empty them that are out in the wild like this, because if you're running around later on and you run past the same place you've already been, if you have a bunch of empty containers around, you don't know if you've already looted it until you run right up to it. And that's not good. You don't want to waste your time doing that. I just destroy those things, because when you loot spawns, it's going to create a whole new container anyway, so you don't need to keep these empty containers around. Just destroy them. And not to mention, it also gives you, to the nests anyway, you get extra feathers from destroying them, so go ahead and destroy them. Okay, again, it's now 1 p.m. Time is of the essence here, so the farther I can make it in a day, the better. Usually I like to keep going until it gets around 5 p.m. and then I start looking for a place to camp. So I got about 4 more in-game hours before I hit that mark. We're going to have to deal with some zombies here. I don't have enough stamina, and I might as well get some experience from it too. So, timing. I'm going to explain some timing here. With Alpha 17, zombies can do a lot of damage. And a lot of people have complained that the melee is very different than it used to be. But it really comes down to timing. A lot of people are used to running up and smacking them and then running them back away. Don't do that. It uses up your stamina really fast, especially when you're wearing armor. What you want to do is just get used to the timing, walking up and smacking them in the head, and pulling back before they swing at you. Just keep doing that. Sometimes you'll just mess up and you'll get hit anyway, but try to avoid getting hit, because every time you get hit, it lowers your maximum health. And the only way to gain your maximum health again is by getting those first aid bandages and first aid kits, which you can't get. So try to avoid getting hit if possible, of course. Okay, I saw some birds. So I'm going to grab these real quick, since they're here, and can never have enough feathers or eggs. The eggs, don't need them just yet, but you will, and eggs, since you can only find them in birds' nests, yeah, you want eggs for food later, when you can raise a perk point for that, so you can actually boil them, or make bacon and eggs, or whatever, or make blueberry cake, or whatever it is. That is what you want to save that for, because that is that's very good food, and you need eggs for them. So collect eggs wherever you can. Usually you can only get 1 egg per bird's nest when you find them, so try to get them. Okay, so now one thing I'd like to explain too about these biomes is that right now we're in the burnt zone, or burnt forest biome, and as you can expect, it may not be obvious, but the temperature here is hot, and it's not affecting me yet, but eventually I've noticed that you can overheat until you're wearing dark clothing. So you want to limit how much time you spend in this biome. Try to stick to the cooler ones, well, except for, of course, the Arctic biome, or whatever it's called, because that one is very cold and you need warm clothes for that. Alpha 17 is different than Alpha 16 because it's more, you don't have to keep swapping clothes out like you used to with the previous version. Usually every clothing article provides enough insulation that you don't have to play this Tetris game with your inventory trying to manage like a change of clothing for moving from hot to cold biomes. So you just have to you pick one good set that provides the maximum amount of insulation for both hot and cold, and you should be good. So, but for now I've got plant fiber clothing, so that's what we've got. Okay, so we've gone 7 kilometers, 7 or 8 kilometers, or 0.7 or 8 kilometers, 0.7 or 0.8. So we still have a ways to go, and it's now 2:30. Okay, let's pause for a second, regain some stamina. Let's see, check my inventory. Wow, how did these get mixed up? Here I am talking about how much I like to keep my inventory managed. Okay, so the other thing I want to do, also explain that I want to keep my arrows on my tool belt. This is something I, had to learn the hard way. Because again, when I have it set to drop my backpack only, I keep my tool belt. If I don't have my arrows on my tool belt, I don't have any replacement arrows when I have the one arrow on my bow in my tool belt. So I keep the arrows on a slot on my tool belt for that purpose. They don't need to be. You can keep them in your inventory, but if you die, you're going to regret it if you don't have it in your tool belt. Okay. Oh, something's coming. I can hear it. There we go. Let's kill this guy. Also, with these guys, yeah, don't get too close to them. If they hit you, you will catch on fire. So much worse than just getting hit by a normal zombie. Because, damage and fire. Fire on me. Oh, and, okay, so have I mentioned wolves yet? Sorry, I've actually had to restart this Let's Play video so many times, and I've run into so many wolves. Keep a careful lookout for wolves, really. Because if you see a wolf from a distance, avoid. Avoid at all costs. Until you are high enough in level, have some serious protection and, with armor and better perks, just avoid the wolves. And you also really better to have a firearm like a pistol or AK-47 or something so you can take it down fast. I don't trust that bows are fast enough to take down wolves. They just damage so fast. They can kill you in like 2 or 3 hits, and they're fast. They can, once they catch you, you can't. It's really hard to run away from them. So at least for the first 10 levels, avoid them. So in fact, in anything, you just kind of want to avoid most things except zombies out in the open. Zombies out in the open are pretty safe, as long as they're not some of the higher end zombies. Like spider zombies are a bit difficult. I haven't run any screamers in this version. If you played Alpha 7 or 16, you're probably, or earlier, remember the screamers. Love those things. But I haven't seen a single one yet. But I have seen the spider zombies, and oh my, they jump. Yeah, the spider zombies used to just climb walls, and that was their big thing. That's why they were called spider zombies. Probably modeled out, had the exact same pathing as the spiders in Minecraft. In fact, I'd probably guess that's where they were inspired from. So, but they are now different. They do climb walls, but they also jump like 2 or 3 stories. So there's no hiding from them up on rooftops. If you hear one of them is around, expect to be duking it out with one on a rooftop. It's bound to happen. It's happened to me. So okay, and it is now 3:30 p.m. So I've got an hour and a half left of the end game before I really need to get serious about finding a camp. And I still need to be heading in that direction towards the trader. Okay, get out of this burnt zone would be good. The one thing I can say for certainty is that I've never seen a wolf in the burnt forest, which is great. But or bad, depending on how you look at it. I pretty much only have seen them around cities and in the regular forest. And the problem with them in a regular forest is that they hide in the grass really well, and they're gray, so they look like rocks unless they move. So, yeah, just keep an eye out for any movement that's kind of a darker shade of color. Just be very wary of that. This is another thing to keep in mind too. Is when you're running out of stamina all the time too. So start to kill a zombie. Give it a second for your stamina to build back up before you try to attack them. So, okay, let's see. We are to 4 p.m. now. We're getting there. Okay, and let's see. Let's do a little more. As you can see, they give me 700 XP. Although the big fat zombies and there's another zombie. Oh, the military zombies, the army dudes. They actually give out 1,200. So killing those are great, but obviously there's a reason that they give out so much XP. They're also a little bit harder to kill. The military zombies have helmets that protect them, from head blows, so it makes it harder to kill them. Let's see, am I going the right way? Okay. I'm still going in this direction. The other thing is, since we're running through fields of these, the chrysanthemums and the goldenrod. The goldenrod are the yellow flowers, and the chrysanthemums are the, pinkish red ones. Don't bother worrying about those. In fact, I don't really see the point in the goldenrods. You can make a really neat goldenrod tea, which is great for dysentery if you happen to drink dirty water. But the only way to make the tea is if you can boil the water. So if you can boil water, why are you drinking dirty water? Unless it was an accident, I don't see the point. So just be careful. Don't accidentally drink dirty water, and you won't need goldenrod tea. So don't worry about picking the yellow flowers up. It's kind of a waste of space. The chrysanthemum tea is great too. That makes some kind of red tea. That's great for cooling off, but unless you have to deal with that a lot, it's not really worth it. So again, inventory space is a big key right now. Okay, so we're getting close to 5 p.m. So what I'm still looking for along the way is a good 2-story building that I can convert into a temporary camp. Since I have so much farther to go, I don't plan on making it a main camp. I want to make my main camp closer to the trader. The reason being is that the trader now in Alpha 17 offers quests. So you'll find yourself doing those and wanting to go back and forth to the trader a lot. And also because you want to check their inventory, see if they have anything new that's cool that you want to pick up. Especially early in the game when you say you need some forge, you find a really cool hoe or something that's damaged and you want to use it, but you need forged iron in order to repair it. You can pick that up off a trader as long as you have Duke coins. So yeah, so I like to make my main camp right near the trader or somewhere nearby. The key things I look for a main camp is a body of water. I like to build in a forest, so I have plenty of trees and grass and stuff. Not the burnt forest, because it rains a lot in the burnt forest. In this game, the rain is so freaking loud. Oh my god. I wish they would fix the rain so it's not so loud, but the rain effect is too loud. It's like white noise turned way up. So it's I like it in limited doses, and having a house where you spend every night in for 30 minutes or so before you can go back out again, not worth it for me. So I prefer to be out here. The problem with a desert, of course, is the heat. Although it is nice to be near the desert so you're near sand, because sand is useful for collecting, for making concrete and glass later in the game, but not so important now. And deserts are especially unforgiving because of heat concerns, so try to stay out of that. The other thing I look for when I'm creating my first main camp is try to create it somewhere near a town, not in a town. Never, ever, ever want to build in a town because it's just, yeah, unless you have to. because it used to be my thing to do back in the old day. I'd find a nice point of interest of POI right there in the town, and I would just convert that into my house for the early stages of the game. But with the way it is now, it's just not worth it. There's just too many zombies around, and the hordes will destroy the nearby houses that can be potentially, respawn with loot in them. So, just best to avoid them. And have your way yourself a little bit way out on the edge of town, and you can just close enough that where you can walk into town and collect and loot things when you want to. Okay, so this is a really nice area. I like this. I like it. This river right nearby. Let's see how close we are. Yeah, we're getting really close, actually. Who knows? I don't know if I really want to push this, but I might be able to make it all the way to the trader tonight. It's already after 5, though. This is kind of pushing it. I haven't seen any other houses, though, so... Now, the other thing, too, people who played Alpha 16 and earlier versions would be considering maybe digging a hole in the ground or putting a platform up in a tree, which you used to be able to do. You can't do that anymore. This has been explained by other YouTubers. That Alpha 17, they removed the ability to place blocks inside the trees. You can't do it. It's sad, so no more tree houses, but that's no longer an option. And digging down under the ground, zombies can now dig again. This is something I remember from the early days of 7 Days to Die. Zombies used to be able to dig underground, so if you were going to dig an underground base, you'd have to dig way deep down and make sure that far enough down that zombies wouldn't catch wind of you. Zombie dogs used to be able to smell you no matter where you were on Blood Moon Night. But that, I don't know how much that's changed. But yeah, then several versions ago, they made it so that zombies could no longer dig down, and that was great, I guess. But then all you had to do was just dig a shallow bunker underneath the ground, and zombies couldn't dig down into you, and you were safe. That didn't really make a lot of sense to me. I mean, you could just, be right under the ground and they wouldn't be able to get to you. Oh, well, okay. But now they can dig down again. So they do a lot of damage. They do it quickly, and they will, burrow down fast to you. So unless you can dig very fast on your first day, I wouldn't recommend trying to dig a hole in the ground, because they will run by in the middle of the night. If they smell you, they will come after you. Another video I saw, somebody had tested it and proven that you can be about 10 blocks down, and as long as you're quiet underground, if you're 10 blocks down or so, they won't notice you and they'll pass right over you. So that's something you could do if you can dig that fast, but I don't trust myself to dig that fast in the limited time I have. Okay, I'm really close. I'm really, really close, and it's getting late. Okay, so here is where I'm going to have to call it. Okay, so this is not tall enough. I'm going to have to look for a structure that's tall enough to... Does that have 2 stories? I don't think any of these corner buildings have 2 stories anymore. They used to spawn in with at least a little bit of a ledge of a second story, but not anymore. And so we're going to have to look for an actual building, not these building corners, and try to hopefully find something before night. So the goal here is to make a camp before, 8? I think it's 8 p.m. 8 p.m. is when it's officially zombie time. You'll hear music notes play that let you know that doom's pending, and zombies can then run until 4 o'clock in the morning. At that point, you definitely want to be indoors and not running around, because they can run and you can't kill them fast enough to survive. So not unless you are well armed and well armored. Okay, I think I could. Okay, yeah, there's a town up ahead. That's good. And still not finding a building I can camp in, and it's 7 o'clock now. This is bad. And I'm out of stamina again. But I'm really close to the trader. I made it this far. Okay, so let me get that camp on the toilet, so I'm ready for that. And I'm going to make I'm going to make 10 wooden blocks just in case I need them for something. Just so I'm ready, because I'm running out of time. But I don't see where I would need that, but just maybe. This will be a trader over there. And there's a house at the edge of town. Now the problem is with Alpha 17, they packed so many zombies in the houses now that this late in the game, I'd be spending the next 2 hours doing nothing but trying to clear zombies, and that might not work out. And not to mention trying to then make it safe inside the house to actually be in for the evening. It's this house. This house might be small enough. It's got a basement, but I don't know. Well, let's go look for another one. The other thing you do is look for stores are good too, though, because you can just run on the rooftops on most stores, but they don't provide any protection against the elements. So you're going to need a lot more wood, which I don't have. I don't have enough wood. Let me go here, make sure there are no zombies or wolves around. I'm going to chop down another tree here, and just so I make sure I have enough wood just in case. But if I can find a store, that'd be ideal, because I can just run up on the top of like a retail store, and the roofs are flat, and I'd only have to usually clear out 2 or 3 zombies, and then I have the rooftop to myself. There would still be zombies inside, but I don't have to worry about clearing those out. So it's much better than a normal house. Okay, I'm out of stamina. This is bad for me. Oh, you know what? It's probably because of the water situation. Yeah, let me go ahead and drink some water and eat some food. And get that. Again, your stamina increases faster with more water. If your water percentage is up closer to 100%, you'll replenish your stamina faster. And yeah, I'm already down with 69%. That was not good. No wonder I was running out of stamina. Okay, well, it's now 8 p.m. and I've got 2 hours left before I really have to be worried. So, that is concerning. Let me get this tree out of the way. 200 wood, that's not a lot, but it should be enough for tonight. And try to find some kind of simple 2-story house that's not too complicated. Alpha 17 introduced so many giant houses that are filled, jam-packed full of zombies. I mean, it's just crazy, like how detailed they are. You'd have to spend a whole day doing nothing but clearing a house now. Let's see if I can find. Oh, that'll work. Okay, so you see that brick office building over there that's kind of half collapsed? That should work. Oh, wait. The other thing I should mention too is the power swing versus normal swing. If you played Alpha 16 in earlier versions, the left mouse click would do a normal swing, like overhead hit like that. But now they have the power attacks, which are back when I realized that since I'm having stamina issues, there's really no reason to use the normal hit. I just use the power attack all the time, and I can usually take them down. So, like 10 or 12 normal hits. So do that. Do it. Also, when you're doing melee on crawlers like that, be very careful because they can cripple your legs easily. Anybody who's played this game before knows this, but just in case you're new to the game, be wary of the crawlers. They're easy to kill, but they'll break your leg if they get too close. Okay. This is not going to cut it. Not unless I can create. I can get up on that ledge. Okay, this is not very good. Shoot. Well, this is why I wanted those other frames. Let me do. Shoot. It's not the time for the zombie. Hey, I got things to do. Die, please. I got stuff to do. Come on. Yo! Here's my club. Need it. It's getting dark. Dark. Okay. So what I'm going to do is, so I'm not wasting wood here since I don't have enough, is I'm gonna jump up here. Shoot, something above me. Yes. Okay. Okay. Shoot. Be very careful about this. Okay. All right. Let's do this a little smarter, huh? Okay, so I'm gonna use the wall and create a step, like so. Walk up the step, take the bottom rung out. Walk up the next step, take that rung out. Sorry, under pressure, not thinking clearly. Okay. Okay, so I'm up here. This is not perfect or ideal by any means. This is a temporary camp until I can find something better, but at least if I'm up here and I can stay quiet... Oh god, I don't have enough wall here. Like I mentioned, the other problem is that they can... the zombie pathing is so much better now that they don't just mill about underneath you. They will attack all walls around you if they can't get to you. So you want to make sure that they can't see you to begin with. And so I'm going to have to use what little wood I have to try to create some walls to hide behind. And I have to do this in the next, oh god, 20 minutes. This is not going to be enough time. I think this is why I said really shoot for that 5 p.m. time frame, so you're not doing this at the very last minute. This is bad news. I should have had this up already, so I need a lot more wood. Oh, and the other thing too I should mention that they changed, which is really super awesome with this version, is that they added the ability so that, you know, if you put something on your tool, like, you know, those wooden blocks on your tool belt, and then you run out, and then you make more wooden blocks, they'll appear right in the same spot on your tool belt they were last in. This wasn't around before this version, and I can't tell you how awesome that is. It's so much better now, so I don't have to worry about worry about taking it off my tool, you know, backpack and putting it back on again. Okay, so I'm just putting in the corners again because I want to make sure that that was solid. Okay. You heard the sound. It is time. It is zombie time. And it's zombie earth. Well, I guess I'm dead. Okay. So once they catch wind of you after 10 o'clock, it's a done deal. Oh, good. He gave up. Now, I could put my torch up, but now that the zombie knows I'm here, that's just going to increase my visibility more. Oops. See what I'm talking about. See down in the bottom left corner, if I pull up the torch, that, you know, reveals me more. So it's better just to sit here in the dark and hope for the best. And try not to make any noise. You know, they can't see me. So I think at this point, this is what I'm going to be doing until 4 o'clock in the morning. So I'm going to break this off for now and call it a day for this particular episode. And then the next episode, we'll see if I actually survive the night. And I'll see you at 4 a.m. Have a good one.